All right, everyone. Now we have to talk about Kroger. They're closing about 60 stores around the United States, actually, over the next year or so. And this is not usually a good sign for a business. When you recede, you typically continue receding. Normally, that's what happens. You look at Blockbuster or something like that. There is one Blockbuster, by the way, left, I believe, in Colorado, if I remember correctly. And it's basically a hotel at this point. It's basically a novelty. I mean, it still exists. It probably makes quite a bit of money, but it's not the same as back in the 1990s. When a business begins to recede, we think of Ames, Sears, Kmart, some of these others. Typically, they don't recover. And so I predict that Kroger is dying, basically. Um, Disclaimer, I'm not giving you any financial advice in this video. I'm not an investor or anything like that. I'm just telling you the historical facts that when a business begins to dissolve in this way, typically it continues. It might get gobbled up by some other company, but I don't know what other company would be willing and able to actually do so. And there are a handful of cases, and this is potentially their savior. There are a handful of cases in which businesses have downsized, compacted things, and they're simply looking at store by store which ones are actually making money. And so they go with the stores that are making the money and they cut loose the ones that aren't. That could be, I believe it is what they're attempting to do. The problem is that when your brand dissolves to that point, when you're dissolving that many store locations, typically that's a foreshock of the bankruptcy of your company. Typically, you die after that. Not physically die, but the company dies. And then you've got golden parachutes for all of the higher ups and all the employees get fucked in the ass. Happens over and over, all of the time. Every single year, it happens hundreds of or thousands of times, actually. It's rather sad for those people. Now they'll be out of a job because, well, the business that you were working at no longer exists. Bye. You don't get a golden parachute because you're the janitor. That's basically what happens. It appears that Kroger is dying. And I remember like when Sears went through this. Most of you probably are old enough to remember when Sears was around. Sears used to have everything. Gardening supplies, tools. It was a general store, basically. It was one of the most famous in U.S. history. And it went belly up. This is after, by the way, it bought up Kmart. Kmart, again, was like groceries and stuff like that. Was it Kmart or Ames? Can't quite recall. I'm pretty sure it was Kmart, but they don't exist anymore. And none of these three businesses actually exist. There are none left. They all went bankrupt. They all got dissolved. The investors got their money and the employees got screwed, basically. This is probably what's now going to happen to Kroger because it appears that the business is dying. You don't close up that many business fronts if you're having a good time. There's no reason to. You would expand. You would create new business locations. That's what you would do. Because, hey, I'm making millions of dollars off of every storefront that I make. Well, I should probably make more storefronts. Let's get some investors aboard. Eventually, though, you hit a snaggle. You hit a situation where you're competing with yourself, possibly, number one. This is definitely the case in Rutland with multiple businesses. I can get to that separately. Or you end up with a situation where you put it in the wrong location and it doesn't really pay off. Well, we invested 10 million bucks in making this gas station, and we've only made like $100,000 of actual profit this year. It's going to take a while now, isn't it? Yeah, there you go. Shit. I'll be dead before the business actually pays off. This happens on a regular basis. It's the wheel of capitalism, so to speak. Not saying that I dislike capitalism. I love capitalism. But sometimes it doesn't pan out now, doesn't it? Sometimes you make a mistake. It appears that Kroger is one of those businesses. Yeah, it's funny because like in Rutland, we have like I think three Stewart shops, and there are two McDonald's. Well, technically they're competing with one another now, aren't they? Now they're on opposite ends of the city, and I can understand the location. They made a good decision on that one. But technically speaking, they're still competing with one another. The efficiency level, therefore, is lowered. Now, you can lower it somewhat in order to have an extra location. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're Kroger, apparently, the efficiency was lowered so much that some of these storefronts weren't making any money at all. That becomes a problem. You know, you do have employees that you have to pay. You have maintenance, you have taxes, you have regulations, all of which need to be minded. And I guess they couldn't cut it on this one. So yeah, Kroger cutting upwards of 60 locations throughout the nation, trying to get rid of the dead weight, so to speak. That means thousands of people will be unemployed very shortly. Hopefully they can find a new job fairly quickly. It sort of depends on which job role that they were actually playing. That's about all. Peace out.